This is Okradowski. We are Change.org here at Acapulco, Mexico. Outside, of course, at the ending of Acapulco, which was an incredible event. And just being here, it reminded me about the complete difference that not only the city of Acapulco is, but of course, this conference is compared to the technocratic enslavement hellhole that is known as New York City. I'm being a little facetious here, but the main point of this video that I wanted to bring up and have a conversation with you about is that New York City was pushed towards the technocratic hellhole that it is, mainly by the man that you can't ignore right now, and that, of course, is Michael Bloomberg, who, of course, served 3 terms as mayor of New York City when I was in New York City, which again he finagled by doing a huge advertisement push, changing the rules, and again becoming mayor for a 3rd time, which was against the term limits. Now he's trying to buy the US presidential election, and that's why I thought it was an important time to really remind you who this billionaire, Jeffrey Epstein connected, Henry Kissinger, Saudi Arabian loving piece of trash eugenicist who calls for population control overlord, wannabe overlord, that is Michael Bloomberg. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of him. The media now is eating him up, especially the establishment media, since he is spending a lot of money on, of course, commercials. Commercials and advertising drive the mainstream media. So, of course, this is why we're seeing such favorable reporting and some scheming and some manipulating and some working with the establishment media to promote Michael Bloomberg, who essentially is orchestrating a systematic oligarch takeover of our electoral system with his billions of dollars. I mean, he's literally spending 0.001% of his money on advertisement, which is still a huge sum compared to his wealth, more than all the other presidential candidates, on just bombarding us. And he's essentially an individual that you can't ignore. You would think with the megalomania, you would think with this amount of money, you would think the criticism that Donald Trump has gotten from the establishment media, not all of it, not Fox, but you would think that the left-wing establishment media would have a kind of a reality check, like, hey, maybe we shouldn't support the billionaire kind of takeover of our electorals. Maybe a megalomaniac, maybe a dude with Napoleon complex who, I think it's important to remind you here, also had very secretive, elusive meetings with other billionaires like Bill Gates, David Rockefeller, Henry Kissinger. Oprah Winfrey was there too, but Bloomberg hosted meetings where he discussed population control with all of these billionaires in New York City, and of course, top secret meetings that the mainstream media bloated about how amazing and incredible they are. The mainstream media talked about how these are super billionaire elites that are going to be saving the world. But I'm sorry, when cutthroat billionaires that did whatever they could for money are telling me that they're discussing population control in order to help the world, I'm sorry. I freaking highly doubt that. And you should too, especially when the media that was kicked out, that was not invited, that there were many secret attempts to make sure that there was no real information, real truth coming out to, is blindly praising it as something good and consuming everything that these billionaires are throwing at them. And or these billionaires are just regurgitating or just crapping out, and the mainstream media supples it all up and then regurgitates and spits it back at you as if it's truth. It's not truth. Mainstream media has no idea what happened during these meetings, since of course they were top secret meetings. Bloomberg's also a good friend with Henry Kissinger. He also took the Saudi crown prince to Starbucks. Also a great connection with the Saudi Arabians. He's also listed in Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book, pictured many times with international child trafficker and abuser of little children, Ghislaine Maxwell. And you would think all these issues would be something to kind of talk about. You would think there would be a larger conversation about, hey, let's look into Bloomberg's ties with Jeffrey Epstein. I bet he could have maybe even been the individual invited to this top secret billionaire population control meeting that, of course, the media was praising. Now, the coverage of the media for Bloomberg now is very interesting. We see, of course, some coverage from CNN pointing him as some kind of candidate that could only stand up to Donald Trump. I think we're definitely going to a brokered convention on the Democratic side. And it's important to note here, Michael Bloomberg is not a Democrat. He's running as a Democrat, but he's not a Democrat. He's an oligarch. He's a tyrant. He's a dictator who thinks that he has rule over your life and knows what is best for you. Essentially, the opposite of almost everything that happened at the Anarcho event with all the speakers here. Ron Paul was here. It was always great to catch up with him. Amazing people who believe in individualism, sovereignty, freedom, and looking at alternatives to the establishment systems that many times screw over the average poor chump that doesn't do their homework or research about important stuff. There's a lot of important homework, a lot of important research. I just did a workshop here teaching people how to be free and independent to the point that they can leave anywhere in the world and travel the world. I'm so happy that how that went, but there's going to be more information later on about this channel about that. Best to just sign up to the email list to see exactly what we're up to. But again, just being here at this event and having the prospects of coming back to New York City, which is a debt-ridden city that makes up most of its cost by fining, regulating, and controlling its population to a very just unbearable extent. I mean, being in New York City right now is like being at a really bad amusement park ride and going through the gift shop exit that you can't get out of. That's essentially what it is. What is life in New York City? There's only Starbucks, CVS, McDonald's, Starbucks, CVS, McDonald's, Chase Bank, and the mom and pop shops are gone. They've been eviscerated predominantly by all the rules and regulations imposed by all the mayors, most specifically, most aggressively by Bloomberg, who thought that you shouldn't even have the freedom to buy sugary drinks for yourself. Sure, sugary drinks are bad, but government banning them would only make them more popular and create a black market. You already know how this works. I don't have to explain it to you. But essentially, New York City is overextending itself, providing just insane resources and promises to a lot of its constituents, meanwhile delivering very little of them while taking an exorbitant amount of taxes, an exorbitant amount of fines and penalties levied against random individuals who are just trying to free and prosper and live a life without a government technocrat sitting over them or a cop trying to bust them for every little infraction. You jaywalk in New York City, you have a cup of coffee on the subway. I've seen such atrocious violations of human rights for the state to continue with its innatness of stupidity that is just frustrating. And now this man that has turned New York City into the slave crap hole that it is, with just the super poor and the super rich, now he wants to implement that same blueprint for New York, for the world, for the United States, for all the states and cities across this country. Hell no. And that's why I'm making this video, and that's why I hope you share this video and are able to get it out there. I mean, I see another thing that's going on here that we really need to consider is Bloomberg's coming out and saying a lot of right-wing things, a lot of left-wing things. He's definitely trying to cause division, but also trying to get as many eyes and ears and saying whatever he has to say. He also flip-flopped on his stop and frisk policy, which was essentially a policy where cops could walk up to you in the streets and put their hands down their pants. Happened to me a number of times living in New York City. Very uncomfortable feeling when you just get rushed on by police officers, shoved against the wall, and frickin' cops hands are up. Many times I tried to film this and say something about it, only to get beat up by. I got beat up by cops in New York City a number of times. All in the name of Bloomberg rule of the city. Bloomberg also had me arrested for asking him a question that he didn't like. This is just the type of person that we're dealing here with. Henry Kissinger's friend of the Saudi Arabians, friend of Jeffrey Epstein, friend of Ghislaine Maxwell, person that just buys off the mainstream media, person that buys off the social media companies. And with all that money coming into them, expect a lot of bias, expect a lot of finagling, expect a lot of manipulation. This is why we're seeing some right-wing talking points from him coming out, supposedly being controversial. This is a way of just galvanizing more support. We've seen that fake news story about him considering Hillary Clinton that again just gave him free promotion. He's shoving himself in every aspect of our life, and he deserves to be called out for the tyrant, megalomaniac, Epstein, Kissinger, Saudi Arabian loving scumbag that he is. That's my take on it. What do you think? Was I wrong or am I right? Let me know in the comment section below what you guys personally think about Michael Bloomberg and what could be done against the huge PR propaganda of the establishment to try to promote him to be the next president of the United States, which could be a possibility. I mean, he got a third term when there was term limits because of massive campaign spending and because he tricked first responders that he was screwing over to stop me from asking him questions. That's a whole big story. I'm going to release a whole nother video about Bloomberg arresting me illegally. Of course, I wasn't convicted of the charges. NYPD intelligence came up to me and they just, essentially put me in handcuffs. They're like, "Oh, we told you to leave," when they detained me and they, destroyed all the video footage. Again, just criminal overlord, technocratic, eugenicist, gangster. Don't let him have control over your life. Share this video with your friends and family members. And also, most importantly, just a side note, try to take care of yourself. A lot of important health tips given out here at Acapulco. The beach is right here, which of course I'm taking full advantage of. A lot of people are taking full advantage of swimming in every day. It's like a natural neti pot and Epsom salt bath. Take a deep breath, relax, enjoy the nature, and don't let the tyrants win. Love you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org. Also, if you want the hat or the shirt I'm wearing, check out our store, which is in the description below. Love you guys. Stay tuned for more.